Welcome back, everybody. This is tutorial lesson number 2, and we are going to get into some actual creation of some objects. Now, I open this up and it will automatically open up to an untitled file. If you are coming right from the last video, you should still have the cube file open, but I'm going to go ahead and open that. If you followed the steps from last time, you should have the exact same folder structure. When you open up our panel here, data panel, tutorial folder, double click and it will fetch your cube, which there's nothing there, so it shows a white screen. If you don't have it here, if you did something else or did your own thing, then you're on your own. I don't read mine, so you got to find it on your own. But otherwise, you can always make a new one because we did nothing anyways. Just make a new one and save it under the same thing. New folder, tutorial number 1, and you have cube number 1 saved here. So every time I save, it will save automatically to this exact spot. So double click opens it up, close my panel, and I'm set up. Okay, so here we go. So on the top navigation panel, we added our circle and our polygon, our 5-sided polygon. This is a pentagon. Now on the far left, you have a model. It says model by default. You have other options here, patch, sheet metal, render, animation, and so on. We're going to stick in the model function. If yours says that you have sculpt above model. In this list it says model and above it is sculpt, then you have changed a setting in here which you have to change back. You've gotten rid of your history down here at the bottom. So here's what you do. Right click on your cube 1 or your unsigned or on the bottom, this should pop up, and then when you go back to model it will say just model. Sculpt is only available when you do not capture design history. There's a big on the Hangout when you hold your mouse on top of it. Just roll down here if you don't have it to the 2-point rectangle. 3-point you don't want. Anything else you don't want. Otherwise you might have extra steps that you might get confused with. So let's just stick with 2-point. I'm going to close it all and go right here to my rectangle button. Now it opens up this little dialog box as options, and it has 3 different planes. These are construction planes. That's what they're called. Now what they are set little directions and plateaus where you can create your object for your rectangle. Make sure you're, just for reference for us, because it shouldn't affect us, but it might. Just to make sure your top box here says top, the top, and the front and right. If it doesn't, hit escape, hold down your shift button and your middle mouse button and move it around, or you can just hold one of these corners or fronts and sides and drag around until you can just keep drag and hold, drag and hold, drag and hold, all the way until you have the top, the front, and the right shown. Just like this. So here we go. 2-point rectangle. You have 3 options. What these are assigned to your dialog view box up here. So we have this one, which is the right and left, which you can't see, it's behind the side over there. You have this one, which is obviously the front and back, and you have this one, which aligns with your top and bottom. It's all aligned. This makes a cube if you connect them all together. We're going to go with the top and bottom. You can go with any one you want, but you might get a bit disoriented if you don't. So just go with the top and bottom one, click it, and it will open up a automatic sketching function. Now what happened was the entire canvas shifted. My view shifted to the top. Look up here, it says top, so it's stuck now. What this is doing is keeping our view from getting confused from a 3D view. We're going into a 2D view. 2D being just a direct view. I can change it if I want and change it around again. It's not stuck. But this is just for quick reference. You can actually change this function later on, but we won't. So here we go. I want you to go up. So if you look at the very center, there's this crosshairs, this 2-part crosshair. That's the very center of the canvas. We have the angles, the planes. We have the X and the Y. It's also here. X is red, Y is green. And these numbers are millimeters, sets of millimeters. So every box is going to be 5 millimeters. We can zoom in with our mouse button, our mouse wheel, and we can see even smaller boxes as single millimeters. You can zoom even further into 0.1 millimeters, but we're going to stick with just 5s for now. So it should be default as set. Now if I go up to the green y-axis, go to the 25, and all the way across to where the 25 on the y and the 25 on the x, the red, meet up. That meets up here. It's a darker, a slightly thicker gray line. Just click on that point. It should snap there automatically. Click there, and as you drag down to the right, you're going to see this square start to open up. Now the square has numbers attached to it. It has one's highlighted, which is the current selected one, the other one is not, but we are going to go all the way to 50 and 50. If you pull it back, and if you type in 50, it'll snap to 50, hit the tab button, and then go to 50 again. If you type it in, this is what I use quite a bit, just typing the actual numbers, because dragging is not always as accurate. This is exact. It locks in. Now I'm going to hit tab again, and what happened was I can move my mouse and the square might move, but it doesn't lose that 50 by 50 sizing. You can see that there is I can't move my mouse up there right now because it moves the whole thing, but there's a lock button to this. From this point here, this wall is 50, and from this wall, following that line, this my shift and middle mouse button and move around. It's still a 2D shape in a 3D world. Now we're going to make this thing 3D. So here's where the fun begins. First, just realize you have the sketch palette still open. This entire thing is called a palette, and we're going to have to get rid of that. So when you are done with whatever sketch you are working on, whether you want to add more parts to the sketch, more lines, more instances and cutouts, that's fine. But when you're finished, you have to hit this stop sketch button. The escape button works too, but let's just do this for safety. What happens is now those sizes, that 50 by 50 disappeared. We have our square, which is not a cube yet. It is 50 by 50. And we are going to do the next step, which is it's called extruding this thing. And we could use the extrude, which is the most common for just doing straight shapes from sketches, which you'll do quite a bit, but we're going to use this one first, the modify press pull. Why? A few reasons, but later on you'll be using this a lot more when you have actual shapes, 3D shapes. When you have 2D shapes, you'll probably just need to use the extrude because this is best used with a 2D shape. So just for fun, I'm going to use the press pull. It's Q as a shortcut. And we are going to pull, so select your square. You can't select anything else, there's nothing else to select. Pull it up, and now all of a sudden we have a 2D shape becoming a 3D, not a cube yet, but close to it. Now when you pull it up, it's going to snap up to millimeter distances. You can zoom out and make it snap to more. This is snapping to 10s now. Every time I slide down, it snaps to a 10 millimeters, which is 1 centimeter if you don't know what that is. And 5s back to 1s. Okay. I want this to be 50 by 50, so I can either drag it to exactly 50, or if I can't get close to that, if it's getting decimal points and it's impossible to get this to exactly 50 without taking 5 minutes to line my mouse up, you can either select this box here with distance, or you can select this little pop-up dialog and just type in 50. It will go to that. You can go whatever you want. I can go 500 if I want. It will go all the way to wherever you want to go. But let's just stick with 50. Let's make this an even cube. Hit enter or hit the OK button here. And now I have a cube, which is 50 by 50. Just to check, this inspect button here is the measurement tool. I mentioned this before. So hit the inspect button, select one of the top walls, the top edges, not the wall itself, but the edge, and it will show you 50. Select the next one. It will show you 50. So we have 50, length 1. So selection 1, selection 2 is 50. And the angle is 90 degrees, which is perfect. And just to be safe, add the vertical, and we have selection 2 being 50. It didn't do a third selection because we're only on a single selection filter, a single wall. So it's selecting, you can see it's on this wall. If I want to do a full body selection, then I can add other stuff too, but we're not going to do that right now. I'm going to go back and just make sure it stays there. Okay, so we're at a 50 by 50 by 50. Next step, we're going to add some holes into our cube. And this is just for fun. This is not going to be very much of anything, but it's a sense of getting the handle of what this program does. So we've had sketching where you draw a 2D object. We just extruded. You can press pull or extrude, which is most commonly used for this, to pull it up to the size you want. Next, we're going to cut some holes in this cube. So we could have done this in the actual sketch, but we're going to do some more than just a straight 2D vertical hole. We're going to add holes on every single side of this, and we're going to go all the way through the cube. So first, hit your center diameter circle button, C shortcut, or go down to your circle under your sketch, center diameter, and you have it. Find any of the sides, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to use the top side. I bring this back around to the top, front, and right. So top, now it's going to snap me again to a vertical view. The sketch view always changes to a top-down view. Whether it's the top or the side, it will change to whatever this becomes and make it like you were looking straight down onto it, which is very handy for making sketches and making exact measurements. So right now I want the exact center, which is already put because the whole canvas has a center on it. If your cube is not on the center, there's a way to do that by finding the edge of two sides, sliding your mouse along until you hit the actual sticky point. And that sticky point is either a link between two edges, a corner, or it could be the actual center of a line. This is the center of a line. There's nothing here. There's no actual object or line intersecting. That green line is just the canvas line. So if I go again, let me just fix this, bring this around, make it back where it was, where the Y is vertical. Okay, so the X with the triangle is center. You can pull it all the way down. You can do the other one too, another side, an adjacent perpendicular line, and it should snap with two lines. And then all of a sudden, if I click on that center point and drag my mouse up, it will make a circle. So again, we have this, my palette's already selected anyways, but if I stop it, go back, select, what's going on here? My computer's doing something. Stop the sketch. Okay, center diameter. This is just, again, just to reiterate, snaps to it, go to this center point, click, drag out. I'm going to make this, and you should also make this 25 millimeters in size. You can go as big as you want. You can drag it to 25, but it might not be perfect because a circle is harder to find the exact size on a squared grid, mathematically speaking. So 25, hit enter, which locks that. So now I can go around here and do whatever I want, but it still locks it at 25. Hit enter again, and I have that actual circle on this one side. It's not anywhere else, it's just on this one side. This face became a single plane, a construction plane. Stop the sketch. We're going to hit extrude. Select your circle, so extrude or press pull. Select your circle. The vertical dialog box came up. Extrude box, and now I'm going to take this arrow, and you can either drag it up, which is the first option, just to show you what it looks like, because right now I'm adding a cylinder to this cube. It's still going to be one giant body, one giant single object, all connected with this, the join. The join is important. If it said a new body, then it would be an entirely separate body. So let's do this first. Let me just show you, just for reference. We won't keep this. This is just reference. Make sure it says new body. Make it any size you want. I'm going to go 40. Hit OK. Now on the left side here, I have two separate bodies. If I select it, I can select the walls. We can change to select the entire body later, but on the left side you can see that there's body 1 and body 2. If I select body 1 under the bodies panel, you can't see this, just hit this arrow here and it opens up the bodies folder. Body 1, body 2. I can hide body 2 with the little light bulb. It still exists, but it's invisible. You can't interact with it. I can select it. It appears in a very basic silhouette, but I still cannot select it. Hit that light bulb and you can select it again. So I'm going to get Control or Command Z, go backwards, go back again, go backwards, until I find, if you've done this with me, you can just follow that Command Z until you get back to where you have this circle still there, but it's not extruded yet. Hit Extrude. Let's do the next Join option, pull it up, and go back to 40. Make sure it says Join, select it, hit OK. And now I have a single body, which is the cube plus the cylinder as one solid object. If I zoom out and rotate around, it's just one solid object. Let's go back again. Command Z, Control Z, Extrude. Now the last option, which is the one we're going to keep. When you pull out, it joins automatically. If you want a new body, you have to actually select it. Join is the default every single time. I've never seen an exception, and I've actually put in some complaints to Autodesk to make a default changing option, but they still have not done that. So for right now, join is the default option when you pull away from an object. If you pull into the object, the negative space, it turns red, and it defaults to cut. Cut is taking whatever shape you have currently you're working with, this cylinder, and it cuts that shape into whatever object it is intersecting with. Right now it's intersecting with the cube. If there was another cube right below it, right below this space here, then right now the cylinder would also cut into some of the other cube. If I pulled it up to this bottom line to -50, which is the size of this cube, the height, then it would not touch the second cube if there was one. It would just intersect. So whatever this touches, it cuts into it. So we are going to keep this. I'm going to pull it even further down just to make an example. You can go exactly -50. Doesn't really matter. Make sure it says cut, make sure it's red, hit OK, and now you have a hole in your cube. Next, let's put 2 more holes in 2 more sides and make sure this cube has a cylinder hole through all 6 sides. So here we go. Exact same thing. Hit your circle button, find an empty side, click it once. It snaps the palette, the sketch palette to that side. Find the center, so drag along one of the lines, pull down a bit, drag along the other line, a perpendicular line, pull across. You see there's 2 blue lines right there. If I go up, one disappears, go back down, it comes back. It's because I have found the center, pulled down until both connect, and it will tell me when they connect. It snaps. Click once, type in 25, hit enter again, lock that in. I'm going to hit Q this time, which is my modify, my press pull. Same thing as extrude for this function. There's no difference. Later on there will be a difference, but for right now, it doesn't really matter. You can either pull out for join, but we're going to go all the way in and cut all the way through it. So now I have another one. Doesn't matter the distance as long as it's more than 50, 50 or above, negative. Cut, okay. Next, one more. Find the side, center, find the center, 25 millimeters. Enter twice. Hit Q. Let's go one thing we haven't done yet. Just click it. Actually, you know what? Just for an example, I'm going to hit the modify, scroll down until it says press pull. It's the first one. Find my circle. Don't select the square. If you select the square, it will pull everything but that center cylinder out. We might do that later on, but for right now, I'm going to cancel that. Just select your circle. Pull it all the way through, hit OK. Now you have a cube with every single side having an equal 25 millimeter diameter cylinder right through the center. And they all join equally. There is no difference. They are all the exact same if you follow those snap points in the guides, which are really important to doing this exact exercise. Now, just to make sure, hit the inspect button. We still have 50. Reset, still have 50. Just check in different sides. It shouldn't change. I've never seen it change. It wouldn't change. But still, just to make sure. Now, each of these cylinders should be radius 12.5, diameter 25 millimeters. The radius is half of the diameter, from the edge to the center of the circle. From the edge to an edge, right across with a straight line, is the diameter. I can check them all if I really want to. 25, 25. I checked three of them, three different sides. These have been pulled through, so I know the other sides are automatically by default going to be that. And that's it. You now have a cube, which you can shift and middle mouse button rotate around and look at your cube. That's it. So next time, keep this, so we'll make sure you save it. It saves automatically to the cube 1. Now I'm on version 1. It's the second version of it. Version 0 is the first one. Next time we will add some more stuff to our cube, so don't get rid of this. Thank you, and I will see you very soon.